Hello and welcome to the Rebel Room, a Las Vegas Sun podcast about UNLV football and basketball, but all football right now because welcome to football season, a new college football season, basically on the eve here this week. The Rebels getting underway at Allegiant Stadium. I almost said Sam Boyd. Old habits die hard.
Yeah.
About 6 years behind there. Saturday in a Week 0 game, only one of 5 games. Going to have a little bit of a spotlight against Idaho State. A new era for the program with Dan Mullen coming off back-to-back big-time years. Brewer, you make it no qualms about your allegiance to the Scarlet and Gray, how much the program means to you. What stands out to you this year? What's it like going into a year where there's so many expectations?
Yeah, so I think the narrative of UNLV football case with the 2-win season and 2-1 season is so old because for the last 2 years they've been, in the Mountain West Championship game, and all indications, at least the media poll in the preseason, has UNLV and Boise State 1-2 again in the conference. UNLV's clearly on Boise State's radar. Boise State, according to every expert, is going to be the 12th seed in the playoff this year. And UNLV, if all things fall right, could be in the conversation to maneuver into a playoff. And that's pretty cool when there's a season that, forget about bowl eligibility. I was thinking about, okay, Saturday they play Idaho State. You're going to go to the game. Okay, you're going to write a gamer. And back in the day, it would be UNLV beat Idaho State, first one of the season. They're 5 away from getting to a bowl game. Because going to a bowl, they had a decade drought. They'd only been to 4 or so bowls in school history. That was the goal. Well, guess what? They've been to back-to-back bowl games, and that's no longer the goal. The goal is, being part of college football royalty and making the playoffs. To me, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and certainly, no one's saying they're a shoo-in for the playoff or anything, but they're absolutely on that short list for that final automatic bid. You look at what new coach Dan Mullen did in the transfer portal, brought in so much talent. And if you're listing like the 5 or 10 most likely teams to make it in that final spot, UNLV has to be there. It's been pretty wild to see this transformation, but they deserve it. Like you said, coming off back-to-back years, being in the Mountain West Championship game, bringing in a new heralded coach. Excitement is up for this program, and to me at least it feels like a different excitement than the last year and 2 years ago. Of course, Barry Odom comes in, has that great first year. I don't think anyone saw it coming to that extent, to getting to double-digit wins, to nearly winning the conference title. But then last year it was almost like you were expected to do this. Everyone knew, you had a lot of the same team coming back, a lot of the stars. It did kind of feel like playoffs or bust at some point. Ultimately, they fell a little bit short of that. I think it's a little harsh to say or bust. I think they still had a great year. They broke the 25-year bowl drought streak. This year I feel like it's a little bit exciting because it's a little bit unknown. You still have that anticipation from what they've built the last few years, but the team is radically different. I mean, there's hardly any of the same names on the team. They're near the bottom of the nation in returning production. You could really see this go either way. You can see that talent take off. They become a team, they gel, and they're right back where they were. But we've seen it in college football too, where maybe the new pieces don't fit, and they do kind of take a step back. Where do you kind of fall in that range?
So you're right, 55 new players, complete turnaround with the new staff as you'd expect, and a ton of momentum from last year I think is very important. As they started winning those close games, right, that magical win against KU where they went on like he's a KU grad, I had to bring it up, right? But no, there was, they went on like a 17-play drive. They picked up some, uncanny first downs, and then they go to play Syracuse, and there's all these people at Allegiant Stadium, and then they had the home game against Boise, and there's all these people at Allegiant Stadium, and you're like, wow, this vision for UNLV football, right? Great facility on campus, sharing a stadium with the Raiders. For at least a 6-week stretch there, it came into vision. And so how do you continue that this year? Are people automatically going to show up Saturday to watch them kick the Idaho State's teeth in? We bring up the roster construction, and everybody, so Dan Mullen, formerly with Mississippi State and with Florida, everybody says, oh, he's building like this SEC roster in Las Vegas. And you were out at practice, and I was out at practice, and I've been to a lot of UNLV practices over the last 25 years since I was a student at UNLV. And you'd go out and you'd see some of the kids, and Yeah, there was a few guys that always looked like Division I players, like Talent Sawyer back in the day of the late '90s, went on to play for the Vikings, right?
I had no idea who that was.
Yeah,
you stumped me with that name, but
part of the UNLV Athletics Hall of Fame. They always had, a Lenny Ware or a guy that could break through, but they never had this big collection of them. And there was guys that you just looked at them and you were like you're a Division I football player. And then, you fast forward right now, you go out there, and they pass the eye test, dude. Like, you talk about, the quarterback Orgy transfer from Michigan. He was part of Michigan's national championship team. They bring him out for an interview, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this kid looks the part. He's like 6'3", 215, athletic. And then as people are walking by one by one, like, wow, this kid get off the bus. I mean, this looks like a real football team, like an SEC football team. A lot of transfers from major conferences who are expected to contribute. Who knows if they're going to mesh together? But the pieces appear to be there.
Yeah, could not agree more on the whole eye test thing. It's something I wrote about, and it does seem like when they're practicing, I mean, you could line them up against anyone, and they're physically not really going to look outmatched. I mean, they look like a big-time college football program. Whether that continues heading in that direction, we'll have to see. And, I mean, Orgy's one guy that catches the eye, but, I mean, it goes beyond him. I know the receiver they were throwing to a lot, and I've only been to one practice, so I'm not speaking from, like, a real position of authority, but Troy O'Mary, who I think came over from Texas, I mean, the kid looks like a NFL receiver already.
I was hoping you were going to say JoJo Earl, because that kid, to me, stood out.
Well, there you go. See, so it's different. And the running backs, I mean, they have, this is something I've written about a lot too, but they have so many running backs that look like really capable of picking up some yards. I know one of the big returner is Jaden Thomas, but then like the day I was there, the kid from Penn State, I don't know if you say it Kevin or Kayvon, however it's pronounced, he was unbelievable. They have like two other running backs there rotating in, the Glover from Utah. It just really does seem like an embarrassment of riches, especially for UNLV standards. So it's going to be fun to see how they all put it together on the field.
I worry about, football's all about unison and how you work together. And the offensive line is basically, there's one holdover and a lot of new players. And so now you're talking about protection in the pass game, blocking schemes in the run game. And one of the reasons why UNLV had so much success the last two seasons was that go-go offense, right? Quick release with the quarter. They made Taj Malik Williams out to be like all Mountain West. And, of course, you have to replace Ricky White, who's in camp with the Seattle Seahawks, and he was, all Mountain West and everything. And to make that offense work with new quarterbacks and new receivers and a new running back, you need to be not only stout up front, what they may be, but you need to have some kind of rhyme or reason and some kind of unison. And to me, if there's a reason to be worried about 55 new players, it's how are they going to mesh with the five guys up front?
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. I will say that the day I was there, the defense kind of dominated. I think they were winning the battle up front. But maybe that's always hard to tell how to put these training camp reports or what you see, because maybe it just means the defensive line is in good shape. And I mean, that's even more important that they can get some pressure.
Were you at the last game when they played Idaho State, the last time they played Idaho State?
I do not believe so. When was that?
Well, because UNLV unfortunately had that history of losing to teams they shouldn't have lost to.
Yeah, Southern Utah,
Southern Utah,
Arizona, I think.
Northern Arizona, Howard, few losses to Reno over the years, right? Trying to be funny. Did you get it?
No, I was about. Okay. I get it now. Now that you clarified.
But Howard was one of the worst losses in college football history.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Okay, so nothing's guaranteed with UNLV beating Idaho State, although there's a gigantic talent advantage. But the last time they played Idaho State was like maybe Tony's first year or in Tony's Sanchez's tenure, and they beat them like 70-7. It was like a record for points scored. And Tim Huff, the Desert Pines guy, who had a pick six, and I think after the game we asked him like, "Hey, did you expect the score to be this bad or whatever?" And he's like, I played at DP. Of course, we always have scores that are that bad. And that's what brings me to, like, this Idaho State game is a great entree, a great appetizer into the season because you're going to be able to get a lot of guys reps. You should win by a real comfortable margin. You're going to feel really, really good about yourself. And then you get a week off to look at the film, get healthy, and get ready for a true road game to get into the meat of the schedule.
Right. Well, I think they only have because I think that next game's Friday night, right? So
is it a Friday night?
They only have 6 days, but
No, it's a week.
I have August 23rd, August 29th.
My bad. You're right. I'm sorry. I don't know where I got that from.
Yeah, but if you're spinning it into a positive, it's that you're not going to have those first game jitters against Sam Houston, which is breaking in a new coach, another completely new team with Phil Longo. But I have heard some people say that could be a tripping up spot for UNLV. I mean, you never know going down to Texas, a little bit different with the humidity. They are like a 2-touchdown favorite in that game. But I think you'd rather have this Idaho State game before it, when initially it was going to be after it. They move it for the Canelo fight, obviously. I think they're happy that they get this game first to kind of work out some of the kinks.
So the thing I can't figure out, and we talked minorly about this before the show, why there's a 12-game season, correct?
Correct.
UNLV, the sports books, which tend to post good numbers, have them at 8.5 wins, over under.
I have the over last time I tracked it at circa plus 125. So
and people are betting them to have 8
under. People are betting the under. Yeah.
Under.
Yep.
Where are the losses coming from? Okay, UCLA at home. Is UCLA that much better than UNLV? I know they're promoting the heck out of that game. They want to get people there.
Yeah, that game I did see to stick with the betting. It's not up everywhere, but I did see that was like a pick'em. I do think UNLV's or UCLA's roster is still probably a little higher caliber, even though UNLV's cut into the gap. Obviously, getting Nico Iamaleava, or however you say, I'm not even going to ask Brewer to pronounce his name. But,
from Tennessee.
I mean, you've got a guy that was like a Heisman buzz at this time of last year. They really ended the season last year really well, so I do think. To me, I would think UCLA is probably a slight favorite in that game. You look at these other losable games, I guess, on the schedule. We just talked about Sam Houston. I would expect them to win, but that's not one you just 100% of the time chalk up to a win. Then at Miami of Ohio, that's a little bit of a sketchy one for me. Miami of Ohio is probably the third best team in the MAC this year. They have DeQuan Finn, their quarterback, coming over, who dominated the MAC at Toledo, went to Baylor last year, didn't work out, but back at Miami. Then at Wyoming, I think they probably win that game, but tough on the road at Wyoming. I'm high on Air Force this year. Air Force at home, that's tough to just say it's a win. At Boise, you think that's probably a loss. At Colorado State, I don't really like Colorado State. I like UNLV's personnel better, but that's another one you could see as a loss. I mean, how many did I just name there? 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, that's like...
If
you saw the wheels completely go off, you could see them.
They're not losing to Air Force at home, Case.
They could. I'm not. They're going to be what?
If they lost to Air Force at home, Dan Mullen would have to look in the mirror and ask what he's doing.
Air Force is historically a much stronger program than UNLV.
I understand the name on the front of the jersey. It's one of my favorite concepts.
Yeah, last year they were terrible. They were breaking in a whole new team, had the least returning experience in the nation. This year they have a lot more back. I mean, I do not think – I know UNLV's ascended. I do not think they've ascended to a level where you just say, okay, they're for sure beating Air Force.
If UNLV goes 6-6 and plays in their third straight bowl game, is that a successful season?
6-6? No, I think you got to be better than that. I mean, they had to spend some
money
to
get these. Bowl game.
They had to spend some money to get this team in. I think with the money you spent to bring in, I think that was 29 Power 5 transfers. Mm-hmm. I think you probably are at least. I think 8 wins in a bowl game is a successful season. I think 7-5. You say, well, that was disappointing, but it was Dan Mullen's first year. Let's give him some time. I think 6-6, something went wrong, especially with the Mountain West. We just went through it. You don't like any of these teams in the Mountain West. I mean, Air Force might be the third best team, and you're saying they have no chance to lose to them.
Do you see Dan Mullen losing to Miami of Ohio and Air Force?
I mean, it's possible.
I mean, has the program taken another notch on its belt? This is like coin flip, Bobby Houck, Tony Sanchez, Marcus Aurora, first-time head coach, might be out-coached by the Miami of Ohio guy. But Dan Mullen's the guy. I mean, ESPN had him as like the 11th best coach of the last quarter something or other, didn't they?
Yeah, but a lot of times
Miami of Ohio?
You've seen it at UNLV too. We don't know how he's going to be at a new spot. He's been at the SEC his entire career. Things didn't end well at Florida. Like, I liked the hire. I like Dan Mullen.
I do worry that he ain't done it in a while.
Yeah, there's no way you could just write him off and say he's for sure winning. And I think these Miami of Ohio and Air Force games are just closer than you're giving them credit for. You say I always try to hustle you into bad numbers. I feel like this will be totally fair. I will let you lay 10.5 with UNLV in either of those games you want me to, and I'll take the underdogs.
Ray, I'd never give you a bad number.
Hey, what do you think?
10.5.
You're saying it's an easy win. They should win by double digits if it's an easy win.
On the road is never a 10.5 win for UNLV. 6.5, I'm your guy.
6.5. That's
What's the sportsbook line in the Miami, Ohio UNLV
That's not
game?
up yet. I'm trying to see what I would make it based on some things publicly available. I think I would be like, I'd probably be more around a touchdown, but I'll take plus 7.5.
See, you're always trying to. You're always. I can't afford to keep paying off these bad numbers.
But 7.5 point under. I honestly think it'll be something like 7.5. 7-point underdogs lose all the time, multiple times every college football week. There's probably going to be 2 or 3 teams favored by 7. But you're saying there's no way they can lose.
What about when Alex Orji goes out there against Idaho State and throws for like 5 TDs and 300 yards and runs for like a 99-yard touchdown to set a school record?
Well, yeah, obviously could change, but we'll have to see what happens right now. I'm glad you segued into that. I guess my counter would be, from what we've seen in their college careers so far, DeQuan Finn's a better quarterback than Alex Orji, and there's no question about it.
What about the other guy, Calandria?
Yeah, well, we
don't know who the quarterback is.
Exactly. I wanted to segue into that.
Okay.
Calandria, Orji. I don't think they haven't announced. I don't think they will even announce before Idaho State, right? I would expect to see both of these guys.
It'll be like, remember when Marcus Aurora couldn't pick between 3 people,
yeah.
and he brought out like the 4th guy instead, and he went with that guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do you think of the quarterback competition, though? And who do you feel better with?
Well, so first of all, UNLV football has never had a guy that started all 12 games.
Never?
I believe the last time they did it was like Jason Thomas in '99.
That's
Mark
shocking.
Wallington, the great spokesperson for the program, would have to let us know. So you got to have some backups, and it warms my heart that they've got 2 accomplished guys who've played meaningful snaps. Well, who've played in the ACC Virginia for Calandro and Michigan's national championship team with Orji, right? I also like that Cameron Frill, who's in his 5th year in the program, I believe.
Sounds right.
And who got meaningful reps. He's now on his 3rd head coach, and who at one time was the league player of the year. Everybody raves about the kid's maturity.
Freshman of the year.
Freshman of the year, yes. Kid's maturity, how he's all in on the program, and how if they do get down to a bind, this kid is not going to take them off a cliff. So they're in a great situation. I initially thought it would be Calandria taking 80% and then Orji coming in like Chris Leak and Tim Tebow, because Dan Mullen was the OC of Florida's great national championship teams. But I could see it even being a 60-40 split. Orji is just so big, and he throws such a big, great ball, and he's quick, and they're both very mobile quarterbacks. It's a great problem to have. I just don't. Am I crazy, Case? Is Boise State that much better than UNLV?
I mean, I think
they lost half of their team in Ashton Genty,
and basically everybody else is back, though.
Yeah, they had 83 guys on the 24-person preseason team for the Mountain West, all based on reputation. But it's like taking Jordan off the Bulls.
Yeah, I agree, and I disagree. I agree with parts of what you're saying and disagree with some. I do think it's a big deal that Ashton Genty's gone. If you've heard me on any other shows or anything, you're going to get sick of me saying this. I've been banging this drum all offseason. I think maybe even a bigger loss is Dirk Cutter retiring, because this offense was a complete disaster 2 years ago when they fired Andy Avalos before the end of the year. And Dirk Cutter came in and saved the day and revitalized the offense. Now you're breaking in a new offensive coordinator. However, I don't think all these guys getting all this recognition are on reputation alone. I mean, all these guys contributed last year. I have them they're 13th in the nation in returning production according to SP+. That's crazy for a team that made the playoff last year, won the Mountain West. So yeah, the head of the snake, so to speak, is gone. But I do think a lot of the guys that helped him get there are still there. So I think they're rightfully the favorite. But I do think that if all these, we talked about all these big name guys UNLV brought in, just from a pure talent perspective, you could convince me UNLV's right there, if not better than them. But we haven't seen it yet.
Is UNLV like a touchdown
together.
dog in that game?
At Boise, I would think a little more than a touchdown as of now. Again, this is the middle of the year. A lot can change.
And Boise did kick their teeth in the league championship game. It was cold there. There was a ton of Boise people in the crowd, and it's shaping up. October 18th in Boise is not tank top weather.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think right now Boise would be close to 2-touchdown favorite. Right now. We'll see what it goes.
Well, I mean, at this hour, it's
they're
going to buy their tickets for the playoff game.
They're minus 150 to win the conference. I do think they have a tough opening schedule. I'm a little bit down on Boise comparatively. To talk betting, and a lot of money is coming against them week 1, going to South Florida, another program that spent a ton of money, has a lot of talent. They go to Air Force week 3. I'm high on Air Force.
My God,
I'm all on the Falcons. I think I bet them 30-1 to win the Mountain West. I know you're going to be down on that based on all your.
No, I just
back to the quarterback. So I feel like your first reaction is probably going to be closer than your second. I do think it'll be more like 80-20. I kind of feel like Calandria is the guy. He's shown so much more from a passing perspective. I just worry.
Correct.
I mean, I know Orji has a strong arm, but I mean, every time we saw him in a game, he was afraid to throw it more than 5 yards down the field. No touch.
Yeah, Calandria's been described as like Brett Favre, like willing to take risks and might be prone to some bad passes. Does that bother you? Because it bothers me. I think Orji would be more like not getting them into bad situations.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely bothers you, but hey, this is where we're going to find out if Dan Mullen is that guy you're saying he is, that he's still like a top 10 ranked coach on ESPN or whatever. He's supposed to be a quarterback whisperer, supposed to be a guy that develops his quarterbacks, brings the most of them out of it. We saw it partly with Tim Tebow when he was there in Florida. We saw it certainly with Dak Prescott at Mississippi State. Can he get some of this ugliness out of Anthony Calandria's game? Again, I was only at one practice when I was there. I would say it didn't happen. Calandria was still throwing it to the other team a lot, had a bunch of picks, but I still just felt like Orji he didn't have the passing upside. I do think you see him this year that he'll be running the ball. Who knows? Maybe I could be dead wrong, and Orji is the guy.
Do you worry that let's go back to the Dan Mullen hire. The guy was out of the game for so long in TV. He had a 4-year break.
And a lot changes in college football, especially in this
Does
day and
it
age.
worry you that on game day he might need a while to get back up to speed? Because the Dan Mullen we know and that we're growing to really appreciate is he's very media friendly. He's willing to sell the program. He's got this great personality, and he won a lot of recruiting battles. He really took that NIL money and made good use of it. You could argue he handpicked his quarterbacks as well. Right?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. It's going to take a little bit to get your feet under you, but I'm not super worried about him on game day. I still feel like, in the Mountain West, I mean, he's going to have a leg up on most of these guys. And he's got another thing.
Not the Air Force coach, though.
Well, Calhoun's been there, 20 years?
I'm just saying, not the Air Force coach.
And you got a few weeks before you encounter Air Force and even the UCLA game. I mean, if they're anywhere up to where they should be.
Is Deshaun Foster the head coach at UCLA?
Yes.
Well, hopefully he's ahead of Deshaun Foster.
But program-wise, infrastructure-wise, I think UCLA probably has a few more dudes than you, a few more proven guys than UNLV, which outweighs that.
Okay, especially under center.
Yeah, absolutely under center, you would think. So yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, so should be fascinating, but I hard to see him being outmatched or making some big mistake against Sam Houston or Idaho State. I think the other thing we talk about is recruiting so much, his success in the past, but I think it looks like he's built a really good staff here too as well. They spared no expense with the staff, brought in a lot of experienced guys, a mix with some up and coming guys. So I think he's got the staff in place as well.
Yeah, and you bring that up. We haven't talked about the defense yet, but last year with Jackson Woodard, they were Mountain West Defender of the Year. He was so stable at linebacker. They won games with the ability to turn people over. And Marshall McDuffie is back. You wrote about another transfer at linebacker.
Jake Pope, safety though.
Safety, yeah. And I think defensively might be a strength, especially because we both saw them at practice, the handful of practices we've combined to attend. The defenses looked decent, right?
Yeah, the cornerbacks especially to me really jumped out. Like I said, Calandria had some interceptions. It seemed like they were kind of haunting him. It was a little different for me. I've been at Raiders practice almost every day the last couple months, and it feels like the cornerbacks like the weakness of their team, where it's like, how are they going to piece it together? Meanwhile, UNLV, it looks like their corner's awfully good. Talking about that staff, I think kind of the biggest bullet point on that staff was getting Paul Gunther as his defensive coordinator, who, of course, was here with the Raiders in 2020, NFL veteran guy that, people speak highly of him tactically. You would think he's going to know how to put, what we've talked about over and over as a talented roster. You think he's going to put these guys in the right spots, and he's not going to be lacking scheme-wise. He's got plenty of pieces to play with.
Yeah, it should be interesting. We'll have some clarity in a few days, right? UNLV, they're probably going to win big.
I'm surprised that some money's come in on Idaho State. I mean, that's a FCS
what's the line?
game. So
38?
No, it was mainly 27.5. Like for weeks, for like a couple weeks, the sports books that had it up. Now as it started populating more like 24.5. Some people are betting Idaho State, which I don't see at all. I would lay if you can get 24.5. I'd lay it with the Rebels. Idaho State wasn't a particularly good FCS team last year. Probably shouldn't be that great this year. I really feel like it should probably be around 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, I just, I don't want to say a lot doesn't really hinge on the game. You just got to get through it and win and get on to Sam Houston. I'd really like, though, for them to get some positive energy going, right?
Well, I don't think they're going to let off the gas just because, like Coach said, we don't think they're going to name a quarterback. They're probably going to have both these guys playing. I think they're going to want to put their best foot forward.
I think they're even going to let Frill get in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you. And there's just a lot of guys that need carries, a lot of throws that need to be made, and a lot of momentum that needs to be built. It's so weird talking. I hate to contradict my opener where I'm like, the narrative is tired because UNLV is not a 2-win team anymore. But it's so weird to go into a season, especially, we've done this podcast, and basketball hasn't been to the NCAA tournament in 13 seasons.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, the last time they went was 2012.
Okay.
The day I moved into my house was Selection Sunday.
Okay, I was thinking 2013 or 14, so I'm way.
And
you're right, though. I'm sure.
And UNLV football is kind of taken a little bit of the luster. And I did think the cool thing about Barry Odom's tenure the last 2 years was, for so many years in a row, it was losing record for football, basketball team, middle of the pack, Mountain West, rinse and repeat. And then the Golden Knights launch, and everybody loves them right away because the Golden Knights go to the Stanley Cup in year one, and, it's pro sports, and T-Mobile Arena's rocking. And last year, when we saw people go to Allegiant Stadium, it's like, oh, man, people still love UNLV. And I thought that was pretty cool, and it really reaffirmed that adage we have in Las Vegas that this is a town that supports winners. Just because, there's a game and the ball's going to be kicked off doesn't mean we have to come watch you play.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been nice to see the momentum the program has, and you got to keep winning, I think, to build it. And I think that Allegiant could become a home field advantage. That will be big. I will say, because I called it up, they had lost 6 straight to Air Force until beating them 31-27 2 years ago in the great breakout season. So I think you're getting a little ahead of yourself just saying they're like in such a higher tier than one of the best programs in the conference now.
That game's here, though.
It is here.
Okay.
I'm letting you lay 10.5 if you want right now. The offer's still out there if they're so much better.
The 10.5 was for the Miami, Ohio game.
Oh, I said either one.
Oh, either one.
You can pick.
I just feel they're going to bring some fans in from Nellis for the Air Force Base.
Always excuses. You say I give bad numbers. It's you make a bold claim, and I ask you to back it up. And
A
then
bold
it's
claim? Yeah, you
excuses.
take my bold claim and you put it on steroids at 10.5. Give me a possible number. It's like just to PayPal you some money. Before we end this thing, give me your predictions. 12-game season. What's the record?
Ooh, I'm going to run through the schedule real quick just so we can do it live. They beat Idaho State 1-0, beat Sam Houston 2-0. I'm going to say they give UCLA all they can handle, but I'm going to say they lose UCLA 2-1. I say they edge Miami of Ohio. I really think they go 1-1 in that stretch. I don't know which one they win, which one they lose. So that's 3-1. Wyoming 4-1. Air Force, I do think they win, but I don't think it's an easy game. So what's that? 5. Lose to Boise. 5-2. New Mexico, I think, is going to be terrible once again. Breaking in a new coach, it's going to take a couple years to get that back up and running. So that's 6-2. I don't like Colorado State. I'm going to say they beat Colorado State, so I'm at 7 now. I think I got to pick an upset one of these two. I can't have them like 10-2. I'm going to say they split with Utah State and Hawaii, and of course the cannon is staying red. I know that's all that matters to you. That's what you said. So what did I just come out to? Did I just come out to 9-3?
Who are the losses? Boise, either UCLA or Miami,
And either Utah State or Hawaii upset.
I mean, that would be a shocking upset. I mean, I like Hawaii with my
I'm higher on
guy,
both of those teams.
Micah Alahao, and I like Peterson at Utah State. He's proven to win in this region.
Bronco.
Bronco.
Mendenhall.
Sorry. Who's Peterson? The guy
Chris
used to be
Peterson
at Washington.
from Boise
Yeah.
State and Washington.
Sorry. Same guy. I'm sorry. Maybe UNLV, you're right, Case. They need a do it again season before we could anoint them to beat these little sisters of the poor. And maybe you're right that they won a lot of close games last year that could have gone the other way, and they could have been 7-5. And then our expectations would be a little tapered this year, and you could make an argument for them losing to inferior teams like Utah State and Hawaii and maybe Air Force at home. But
That's my quote unquote bold claim. They lose one of those. Air Force, Utah State, or Hawaii. They don't go 3-0 in those games.
okay, so again, the master of what ifs. What if they beat Idaho State, they beat Sam Houston, and then they got UCLA here, a game that they've been promoting. There's billboards everywhere to get you to go to the game. So let's assume there's 30,000 people at the game for UNLV. Right? They're, trying to get anything to get you into the stadium.
Yeah.
What if UNLV beats UCLA, which you said the game was a pick'em initially? It's off the betting board right now.
I can't find it now. I feel like I remember
In
hearing
your
it was
head, though, and I trust your brain,
Yeah.
you remember seeing it as a coin flip,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yep.
What if that coin magically lands on the Scarlet and Gray, and they're 3-0?
Could happen. I'm not ruling them out of that.
Okay,
game at
then
all.
that makes them a top 3 team for the college football playoff, correct?
Absolutely, I would think
Okay,
so. at that
and
point.
then they
Boise
could-
might have a loss by that point. They go to South Florida. They're less than a touchdown favorite in that game.
But they still got to play Boise at Boise, which they haven't beat Boise yet, and there's no reason to think they're going to
Yeah, in
reverse
Boise,
that trend.
yeah, I can't get with a win on that one. But that's what's so good about this is that's the only game that you look at and say that I think for sure we can agree you put an L next to that. There's no other game on the schedule. Here I'm coming around to your thing. There's no other game on the schedule where I say it's a definite loss.
Correct. I agree with you on that. We never agreed, but you just said something that made sense. I can't believe you have the Miami Ohio game as a coin flip.
I mean, Miami, Ohio, are you,
If you run that game 100 times, how many games does Miami win?
probably 25 in that range. I think 1-4, probably something like that.
If you run the Boise UNLV game 100 times, how many does Boise win?
92.
So you're telling me Miami has got a better chance of beating UNLV?
Oh, without a
than
doubt.
UNLV does.
That's a bet I will make right now with you if you want that
Boise.
the Miami, Ohio UNLV line will be closer than the Boise UNLV line.
Even after UNLV beats UCLA?
Well, this is a lot of what ifs, and this is why it's an unknown. We'll say it right now. But yes, I think Miami of Ohio and UNLV are a lot closer to each other than Boise State, at least coming into the year. We're working on old data points, though. We're going to have a lot more information here shortly.
Well, I think.
So what's your record? I went 9-3. I went ultra optimistic, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm going to go 9. No, I'm going to go 10-2. Hey, so for Case, I'm Ray. Thank you for everybody for listening to the Rebel Room, a Las Vegas Sun podcast.